I sat in that cell staring through the bars at the acres of clouds in the sky. It's funny, I thought, how different they seem now. I became so intoxicated with them, I felt a sense of solitude and wonder of that fact that the space below and above the clouds was transparent and merely a gas that stopped us from falling into deep space, that this house had no roof as it seemed from space looking down upon the earth, that the blue shape it formed was not solid or firm, and a man could easily drop through it. It made me feel quite dizzy and afraid of the heavens above, as if at any moment gravity would cease to be, and I would be plummeted upwards through the sky. I sat on the floor and stared at my imaginary candle, which I watched throughout part of the night, as it slowly burned itself out and left me in darkness. There are those that might think, and my prison psychiatrist might be one, that having an imaginary candle burning in your cell was a sign of a man's utter madness. And yet I was fully aware of its form not being real, for I knew that I was not mad in the real sense, although what I had done was abhorrent to most. I was in the full sense of my reality. So to put down my killings as an act of a madman would be inaccurate and untrue, and would do injustice to those that suffer with such ailments and have no real sense or control of what they do. I wondered to myself whether now would be a good time to write my memories, to go back upon my life and jot down where I had gone wrong, in the hope that some good could come of my disastrous life, or whether I should try to escape back to the real world. And yet, being in this cell was much more amiable than the park I had spent my time recently. I started to think about the writer and his daughter. His actions had preyed upon my mind since being in this cell. For what reason did he come to see me and yet not speak? Maybe it was merely that he needed to put a face to the man who murdered his child. But what man of sane nature would say nothing to a creature that had killed his flesh and blood? Yet all he showed me was affection, for he placed his own hand upon that very hand that had caused him so much pain. So what was his intention? Maybe he was no longer the sane man he once was, and his actions are indicative of it. And yet his sad forlorn eyes and silence gave me more torture than any violent words could have done. Was this then the method of his revenge all along? I sat staring at the candle as it slowly flickered in the real wind that affected the imagination growing in my mind. But this feeling would soon be disturbed, as I had the foreboding sense of a wave of disillusionment overtake me. I could see within my mind, projected upon the wall, horrors, absolute horrors. The victims I had slain were shown to me. I shouted for them to go, but they would not. And so the show continued. As I watched them with ever realness, I began to feel the urge to throw up. As I did so, the sick ensued out of my body like an open tap, thin and white in colour. It dribbled, my mouth wide open, and the contents with coughing slipping forcefully out, covering the small amounts of facial hair I had grown. Again, another violent uprooting of the contents of my stomach poured its way out of my mouth and onto the cellar floor. These sights I had once seen as I was the perpetrator of these crimes, and yet on seeing them now, they drew across me the greatest terror. The horror of these graphic images, of this carnage. And then I saw the figure that was projected upon the wall, small and stout, exercising his will of domination upon these people. I saw the face of this stranger that was me, as he smirked and enjoyed moments of true pain, of the gutting of one woman, the slicing of a man's neck, the dropping of his head, the crushing of a child's heart, the squeezing of a man's lung as he struggled to breathe. I screamed and shouted to stop what I was seeing, to give me blindness or such an affliction so I could not see what I had sought upon this world, upon my life. And then it was forthcoming. As it went, the images, the sounds, the figures, the candle, I was back within my dark, damp cell. What had I witnessed I could not tell. Was it a taste of something yet to come? Or could it have been the pills I had been forced to eat in order to subdue me, or a piece of undigested food? Whatever it was that I saw, I dreaded its return ever again. I lay on my cell bed and asked myself what was this revelation I was going through. How could it be possible that I could now see the evil I had undertaken? What cruel matter of perverseness was this, that a man could commit such things, and then almost awake as if a different man, a man unable to commit such things, and yet now he has to resolve the moment of being caught for doing something he did not do, and yet I did indeed do these crimes. Did I not? Surely I did. I remember them. I had blood on my hands, plenty of blood. What was I saying? What was happening to me? Was I truly a madman? And only now in my sanity I could see it. Was this the revelation I was undergoing?